I was camping with my husband and his family at a small remote lake in New Mexico. There were about 10 people in our group and other group of 6 people in the next campsite. It was night time and both groups were doing typical activities like making smokes, having a few drinks and telling stories. When we all heard what sounded like a little girl yelling out for the help. Neither group had children with them, but we were all positive we were hearing a little girl and decided to search the area we heard the noise from together. There was a field behind our campsites and we all saw a very tall, pure, white figure standing maybe 100 feet away from us in the field, making the noises. We all agreed this thing looked maybe 6 feet tall, skinny and white as can be. We made our way close to investigate, but whatever it was that we saw started backing off as we got closer and it disappeared into the trees. All night we continued to hear a little girl calling us for help as we tried to sleep. I'm a psychiatric nurse and early in my career, I worked at a residential mental health facility. One of our residents was an elective mute, which means that he didn't talk, but there were no medical reasons as to why. He had spoken earlier in his life and in fact seemed quite normal back then, with the exception of being close to 7 feet tall. He had seen raised in the deep south and joining the military when he was 19, but one night he vanished. He was declared AWOL and eventually he was declared missing and dead. 10 years later, a 7 feet man walked into a VA hospital emergency room in my part of the Midwest and said to the receptionist, "My name is Marian Duchini and I have been dead for 10 years. Those were the last words he ever spoke. He was covered with dust and he was wearing the same clothes he had been reported to be wearing the night he vanished. His social security number had not been used and he had no identification on his person. However, they were able to identify him, I guess, via fingerprints. The family was notified by they said that they have already grieved their lost man and that whomever was claiming to be is simply could not be. They demanded not to be contacted again." Marian paced all day, every day, moving his mouth that looked like talking or muttering but no sound came out. He had an unnerving habit of throwing his head back with his mouth wide open as if he were laughing heartily. But not even a breath can be heard. If I talked to him, he approached to me, periodically throwing his head back in that laughter, mimicking way of his way. My dad used to work as a corrections officer at a ritual prison. He drove the perimeter of the property of his entire shift, where he would check empty buildings for the runway inmates. It was generally a boring job. One night, my dad was parked on a hill reading a magazine when he was started to feel a thumping in his body. He describes it as the feeling you get when speakers are playing a song with really heavy bass. He put the magazine down and checked his rear view mirror where he saw someone outside the truck. He grabbed his pistol and jumped out of the truck with the weapon drawn. Outside the truck, you realized that the procession of Native Americans walking through the trucks only to disappear at the exact spot he was sitting. He said it was clear they were ghosts because many of them appeared injured. This went on for a few seconds and then the whole processions disappeared. He called the another perimeter guy on his walkie to try to explain and the other guy almost immediately stopped communicating. Turns out the other guy had seen this happen before but didn't believe in ghosts, so he wouldn't talk about it.